Welcome to the Explainer. So, you're staring down the barrel of an on-premises Azure DevOps server migration. I get it. It sounds incredibly intimidating, right? It's like looking at a mountain you have to climb. But honestly, it doesn't have to be. Today, we're going to take that massive, scary database migration and transform it into a highly manageable, step-by-step journey to the cloud. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover why you should move to the cloud. Then we'll look at the 6-phase journey. After that, we'll dive deep into phase 1, get started. Next, we'll talk about mapping your data, followed by licensing and costs, and finally, looking ahead to the actual import.
All right, section 1, why move to the cloud?
You know, customers who've already successfully made this jump usually tell us they did it for 3 really big reasons. First up, Azure DevOps Services gets upgraded automatically every 3 weeks. That means absolutely no more manual patching or scheduling downtime for your team. It's just done. Second, you get simplified around-the-clock administration. Basically, Microsoft keeps an eye on the core infrastructure so you don't have to sweat it. And third, it's securely accessible from anywhere. And let's be real, for remote or distributed teams collaborating today, that is absolutely vital. And there is also a massive shift in what you can do with reporting. Think about it. On premises, you're probably wrestling with Excel, SSRS, or these really complex SharePoint dashboards, right? It's a headache. But in the cloud, Azure DevOps Services gives you lightweight dashboards, live REST APIs, and a truly brilliant Power BI connector. It lets you visualize your live data without all that usual hassle. It's a total game changer. Moving on to section 2, the 6-phase journey. Now, I want you to think of this whole process not as one giant terrifying leap, but as a well-mapped expedition. You start right here at Get Started. Then you move through prerequisites, upgrade, validate, get ready, and then it finally all culminates in the import to the cloud. Breaking it down like this makes the whole shebang entirely achievable. But for today's explainer, our energy is going entirely towards step 1. Which brings us to section 3, phase 1, get started. Okay, so phase 1 is incredibly straightforward. It really just breaks down into 3 highly actionable steps. Number 1, choose a data center for your Azure DevOps organization based on where you actually want your data to live. Number 2, download the data migration tool. And number 3, reserve your Azure DevOps Services organization names. Let's zoom in on a couple of these so you can literally get started right after this. So let's clarify what that second step actually entails. The data migration tool for Azure DevOps, or we'll just call it the migrator tool for short, is the software that handles the heavy lifting for you. It validates your team project collection, generates the necessary files to customize your import, and ultimately queues up the final import. You absolutely do not have to move the database manually. This tool does all the hard work. Just a quick tip though, always make sure to download the newest version, because Microsoft updates it constantly based on customer feedback. But here is a really crucial point, and it's that third step. Reserve your final name right now. If your company is named Contoso, you're going to want your web address to be dev.azure.com/Contoso. And since a migration project might take some time to complete across all 6 phases, you want to claim your desired URL today, before someone else swoops in and takes it. It's a super quick, easy win that you can secure today. All right, section 4, mapping your data. Now, there is an absolute unbreakable rule when you're using the migration tool, and it's a strict one-to-one mapping. One on-premises SQL database collection equals exactly one brand new cloud organization, period. No exceptions. Let's explicitly define these terms just to prevent a very common and honestly super frustrating mistake. Your on-premises team project collection is a physical SQL database container for your projects. Your Azure DevOps organization, on the other hand, is the cloud-hosted management unit, and it's the final destination of your import. You cannot use this tool to try and consolidate multiple collections into one single cloud organization during the import process. Remember the rule: one collection becomes one organization. Okay, moving to section 5, licensing and costs. Now, you might be wondering about the cost. Well, Microsoft actually provides a remarkably simple worksheet to calculate your carryover licenses. You just start with your total number of team members. Then you subtract your stakeholders, because they get free access. Next, subtract your Visual Studio subscribers, since DevOps Services is already a built-in benefit for them. And finally, you subtract 5 more to get your total out-of-pocket licenses to purchase. But wait, why subtract 5? Because of the number 5. Every single newly created Azure DevOps Services organization gets their first 5 core users at absolutely no charge. So when you sit down and actually do the math with that worksheet, you're probably going to find that your licensing costs in the cloud are significantly lower than you initially expected. A lot of your users are likely already covered.
Let's jump to section 6, looking ahead to import.
Even though we're focusing on phase 1, here are a few key technical prerequisites you're going to encounter down the road. In phase 3, you'll need to upgrade your on-premises server to a supported version and run the Configure Features wizard to ensure everything conforms to cloud requirements. Then, in phase 5, you'll need to set up an Azure subscription for billing and create an Azure storage container. And hey, here is a massive pro tip from the documentation. Make sure that storage container lives in the exact same data center you chose way back in phase 1. Doing that will drastically speed up your actual database transfer.
So, the 6 phases are laid out, and you know exactly how to conquer phase 1 today. You've got the blueprint, right? But here is the real question I want you to ask your team tomorrow. How much time and innovation is your organization currently losing just trying to keep those on-premises lights on? Go claim your URL today, and let's start taking that time back. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next explainer.